Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. On this 8th day of October, got a huge show with you for tonight. Got my NFL Power 5 ready to go. Got a shocker in there, a little bit of a shocker. Now, this is just a snapshot. I'll tell you that. And, Robert Saleh was fired today. It was a little soon in the season. But Robert Saleh's fired. I'll give you my thoughts on that as well. And, of course, I'll give you my take on the Chiefs last night and whatnot. Also, Jason Patterson coming in from, I want to say Jason's from Pig Trail Nation. Let me make sure I got him on here right. Pig Trail Nation, who covers the Kansas City Chiefs and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Going to get my thoughts on the Chiefs, where he thinks they might go or may not go in the trade market, as far as Rashid Rice, who's got a LCL. Well, you learn more and more about body parts following the ACL, LCL, MCL, whatever. What are they going to do? I mean, they keep winning. I don't know if this is sustainable offensively, but going to ask him about that and get his take on Arkansas beating Tennessee over the weekend. It was a big win there for Coach Pittman there with the Arkansas Razorbacks and more. So stand by. Let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here shortly after a few quick announcements, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports. To get the National Streaming Sports channel on your Roku TV, channel search National Streaming Sports. There's the channel search in Roku. There's our logo right on the right, NESSP. Tap on the logo and it will add to your TV, the channel to your TV. On your laptop, tablet, and mobile phone, download the free Roku app and channel search just like above. If you don't have Roku TV, you have to order a Roku device from the Roku store, hook it up to your smart TV, and bang, you have Roku TV. Again, channel search, National Streaming Sports, click on our NESSP logo, and add the channel. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
All righty then, that is correct. Bet responsibly. Have fun, bet, but be responsible about it. Okay, quick take. Chiefs are now 5-0. By the way, no passing touchdowns by Patrick Mahomes last night. But boy, I tell you, Kareem Hunt looks like the guy they drafted, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. Remember, they drafted him, then he had the domestic issue. Wasn't truthful with the management. They cut him. Then he played for the Browns for a few years and kind of bounced around on the waiver wire. Chiefs pick him back up. 102 yards last night. Touchdown for Kareem Hunt. I'll tell you what, this is probably the best coaching job Andy Reid's done. And I'll bring this up to Jason Patterson, who covers the Chiefs. I mean, get inside the locker room at times, gets to cover the Chiefs. Get his thoughts on this, but they're using 3 tight end sets, these really awkward looking unorthodox formations here, and guys like Juju Smith-Schuster filling in for Ray Rice here. And of course, Travis Kelce, great catch there by Kelce in traffic, great throw there. I don't know, was this in the first half last night? And then of course, Kelce being thinking on his feet. This was like, 3rd and 20 or something like that. And he flips the ball back to Samaje Perine. And Perine gets really close to the first down. Really, really just a smart team thinking on their feet constantly. They do more with less. It's just an impressive group of what they've done. And, of course, I thought they would win this game, but I thought that the Saints would keep it within the 5.5 point spread. Of course, these guys go home and beat that point spread. Now, I did read today that it looks like Derek Carr is going to be out with an oblique or whatever. So they got off to a hot start. It looks like that this team was really fool's gold there. I knew coming in that the Saints were an older team. Now it looks like maybe Dennis Allen may be in trouble. But quarterback Derek Carr suffered an oblique injury on Monday night's loss. EMRI confirmed today. Of course, the injury was oblique, and the Saints played 2 quarterbacks. So I don't know how it is, but I do know this. I just think that they're probably going to go the other direction. I feel like the NFC South is probably between the Bucs and the Atlanta Falcons, unfortunately for them. I mean, Carolina Panthers are dreadful. Looks like the Mets here. Well, they're just about to take Game 3, by the way. I just now noticed that. They did just take Game 3, 7-2. Congratulations to the Mets, beating the top seed there, beating the Philadelphia Phillies. That's going to be a great series. May go 6 or 7 games. Okay, big news today. Robert Saleh was fired today. And 2 losses in a row. The Denver loss was really bad. He seemed to butt heads with Aaron Rodgers. I've mentioned this before. Saleh comes off as a very emotional coach. You saw the thing with him and Rodgers in the Thursday game against the Patriots 3 weeks ago, and they looked great 3 weeks ago. He's showing the emotion there, and Rodgers telling him kind of back off. It's still just the first quarter. It's only a 7-point game. And you look at his issues going back with Zach Wilson. One day he's loved Zach Wilson. Next day he's throwing him under the bus. He seems to overreact. He's somewhat like Dan Campbell, minus the talent for that's around him, and minus the continuity of the general manager and team buy-in per se. As far as his emotion, he's a player. I think he played college. No, Dan Campbell played in the NFL. But then something came up. He said Rodgers is not totally out of this. There is some blame for Rodgers, okay? According to SNY, let me get this screenshot. I've got a bunch of them, folks. I've got to be tight with my rants right now because I know that Jason's going to come up 30 minutes past the hour. But here, I got this off of MIL Football, but this is from, let me make sure. Okay. That's a different story, but I'll comment on that one here in just a second. Stand by here. Let's make sure we got everything squared away. Okay. This is from SNY. That is a good source up in New York City. SNY. I used to live in New York. Valid source there. Okay. Valid outlet, media outlet. Former Jets coach Robert Saleh this morning decided to demote Nathaniel Hackett. Remember, that's Rodgers' guy. That was a former head coach of Denver. It was terrible there. But he was Rodgers' offensive coordinator with Green Bay. Robert Saleh this morning decided to demote Nathaniel Hackett and give play calling duties to Todd Downing. Todd Downing's the former fired offensive coordinator from the Titans who lied about why he was speeding and got the DUI with the Titans a couple years ago, right? So Robert Saleh this morning decided to demote Nathaniel Hackett and give play calling duties to Todd Downing. 5 minutes later, Saleh was fired. The drama continues. And the memes, Pickles was, I started to send that out to everybody of there's a scene in Goodfellas where Tommy, Joe Pesci character, thinks he's getting made, and the guys are walking in. Pesci's walking in, and the other mob guys are behind him. He's walking into a house, and of course we know he got shot in the back of the head. They end up killing him. That meme of just them walking behind him, Saleh going to team meeting today, and of course he was escorted out by security. Okay, according to Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson also, according to reports, did not talk to Joe Douglas about Jets owner Woody Johnson. This is according to the New York Times. Woody Johnson did not consult with Joe Douglas in the front office before firing Saleh. So I said this back in the summertime, not to sound like a broken record, but you get a sense here, even after last year, that maybe that this owner is going to hit the restart. Now, he's not the best owner in the world. I know he's a little bit of he's a little Jim Irsay with the Colts there. He's not. He'll spend money. He's not that crappy owner down in Cincinnati by no means. But he is a little bit of impulsive, to say the least. So I do think that there's a possibility that Johnson could go ahead and out Douglas as well. My guess is they're probably going to have to draft another quarterback this year. Don't get too caught up in this interim coach thing. And it's not Nathaniel Hackett, in case you're wondering. This interim coach is, man, there's so much news to get to. I have not even got to everything. This interim coach is some guy I've never heard of. It's the defensive coordinator here. And I'm trying to look for his name. It means no, never mind. You really do not want to get too caught up into the interim coach thing. I know Pierce is doing okay, but you really just don't want to get caught up into that noise. It's not Hackett, it's some guy for their coordinator, and I can't remember who it was. But this guy from Ari Murrow from My Sports Update with 33rd Team, he says the 2021 class of coaches, a lot of them already been fired other than Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni. And Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat. Dan Campbell is a little bit erratic, but he's got a great team around him. Robert Saleh was fired, hired in 2021. Urban Meyer from the Jaguars, David Culley from the Texans, Arthur Smith from the Falcons, and, of course, Brandon Staley from the Chargers. Other than, the Chargers had a good quarterback, but Jaguars Jaguars had a promising quarterback, but Texans and Falcons at the time did not. And the Jets missed on Zach Wilson. A lot of that is quarterback. Dan Campbell's got Jared Goff, has worked out there. And, of course, Nick Sirianni's got Jalen Hurts. But Nick Sirianni might not make it past this season, in my humble opinion. So, it's a lot of it is, how well are you with your quarterback? How well do you work with this quarterback? Are you getting the proper tools around him to make this team successful? Or are you simply guessing and trying to lean into your side of the ball, defensive-minded head coaches? That's something that that's something that we have to look into. These defensive-minded guys, Brandon Staley gone, defensive-minded guy, Robert Saleh gone. Saleh is more of a coordinator. He knows nothing about offense. He's more of a coordinator than anything. And of course the owner said, what did he say here? Jeff Ulbrich will serve as our interim head coach for the remainder of the season. He's a tough coach, has respect to the coaches and players, blah, blah, blah. I think if he would have put Nathaniel Hackett there, this would have looked like such an inside job here from Aaron Rodgers trying to push out Saleh. So I don't know what to believe here. I do believe they're probably going to have to hit the reset button. And if I was advising Mr. Johnson, to Woody Johnson, I would tell him to take his time and try to find an offensive-minded head coach who is secure enough to put a really good, experienced coordinator around him, like a Brian Flores, a defensive coordinator, and try to go that route. Maybe a Bob Slowick, but Slowick's only 37 years old. So it's a lot to think about. It's just October. You don't want to overreact and hire the interim coach. More often than not, that does not work out. We still don't know if it's going to work out with Antonio Pierce, although he's had his moments this year, good and bad. Good win over Baltimore, but we'll see. Pickle says Rodgers playing coach killer. A lot of people talked about Matt LaFleur being on ice with Green Bay. I mean, we already know about McCarthy getting fired from Green Bay because of Rodgers, and now you've got Saleh. So now it looks like McCarthy's a pretty good coach. Pickle says Sirianni can hear the clock ticking. Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Woody Johnson couldn't care less. He's a trust fund, baby. He'll spend that trust fund money just like because he didn't have to work that hard. Hackett's Rodgers' buddy. Yeah, so he did not put Hackett there, and I think that was the reason why he knew, Woody Johnson knew that the media would go crazy for that. And, of course, guys like me would talk about it. Because there's already the narrative that Rodgers is pulling a LeBron James and pulling everything. You've got Allen Lazard there. You've got other players there, former Green Bay Packers. Some ain't even on the team. I mean, they wanted one of the backup tackles there from Green Bay. I mean, it's somewhat of a mess here. So they need a quarterback and they need an offensive-minded head coach, in my opinion. Rodgers is 40. No matter what you say, he's getting older. He's not getting any younger, okay? And just another quick take here before I give you my Power 5. Drake May, just in the same division, is named for the starting quarterback. And I'm telling you, guys like Keith Engel, he already hates this. Jacoby Brissett, most pressured quarterback in the NFL. I don't know if Robert Kraft is pushing for this. I don't know if Gerard Mayo is pushing for this. But I would not put out Drake May, my rookie quarterback, in there and let him get blasted. I'll change up the offense. I would look at some of the film at what Andy Reid's running 3 tight ends out there, Pickles. He's running 3 tight ends out there to protect Patrick Mahomes because he really don't believe in neither one of those left tackles, So So Drake May is getting all the first team reps. Jacoby Brissett, that being said, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception through 5 games. I mean, I had to look at that twice. I said, is that offense really that bad? And, of course, they lost last week to a lowly Miami team, and they're now 1-4. They should have never lost. They should be 0-5. They should have never lost to the Bengals. But we've already went over them ad nauseum. So it looks like that Mayo's going to be a disaster. And it looks like May is getting off to a bad start here with this organization, taking snaps behind this line. Maybe he juices the team up or whatever. I'm just curious to whose call that really was. My call would be just barrel it out, work on other aspects, beef up that offensive line in the offseason some more, and add a few pieces offensively, another receiver or 2. And do it that way instead of letting Drake May getting blasted out there. And you don't want him to be Derek Carr's brother, David Carr, one of the most sacked quarterbacks ever in the NFL. But then again, Jacoby Brissett, I said this team's going to be a train wreck with Brissett there, and I was 110% right. Pickle says Andy Reid is there. Wizard. Yeah, trial by fire. I don't know. Putting him behind that offensive line, I would want to protect the guy. I want him to see Brissett is a pro, even though he's banged up and stuff. You want to see him go through a whole 17-week season and kind of learn from what's happening there as far as preparation, recoup from injuries in the NFL that you might not get in college. Get a feel for that. I understand that there's certain situations that you just want to start the quarterback off right off the bat. I know it's worked out for C.J. Stroud. It seems to be working out for Jaden Daniels. But for the most part, I think it's good to let the guy sit and learn that way and put him trial by fire next year, in my opinion. But anyways, don't have a lot of time here. So let's get to this Power 5 when I can find it. Okay. All righty. Here's my Power 5. Speaking of Jalen Daniels, the guy's got the highest completion percentage in the NFL. 34 points on that Cleveland defense last week. Just a really, really good team, this Washington. I'm really shocked by them. I'm shocked that Minnesota's 5-0, but I'm even more shocked that Washington with Jaden Daniels. Now they got an inner what do you want to call it, an intertown rival going on right now, interstate rival in Maryland. They play in Landover, Maryland. They got to play Baltimore this week. Like Pickle said the other day, he might get tuned up there, but I got them as my number 5 team, highest ranked team in my Power 5 this week. I mean, they put 42 points on Arizona. Then they put 34 on Cleveland. I mean, you got 76 points the last 2 games. They're 4th in total offense. They're 2nd in rushing offense right now. Who would have? I would have took the Giants over the Washington Commanders. There's too many players they've had to change. They've had to change the ownership. They changed the general manager. They changed the head coach. They got a rookie quarterback. That's too many moving parts here. But it seems to be working. Cliff Kingsbury is working really well there with Jaden Daniels here, who's got a shot at MVP. I don't think he'll get it. But if it's season ended today, but season did end today. It's just 5 games in. But anyways, I got him as number 5. I never thought I would have him being close to the Power 5 coming in. But they're playing really good football right now. They're almost could be 5-0. They played Tampa pretty tough there in week 1. Detroit. Okay, I know Detroit was off last week, but listen, last game, Jared Goff, perfect 18 for 18. They have the most balance of any team in the league, in my opinion. When you got run pass, they've got the right amount of star power at receiver, running back, offensive line. I still like Detroit at number 4. They're 4th in run defense, by the way, and they still, even not playing last week, they they still have Aiden Hutchinson at 6.5 sacks. He still leads the NFL in sacks. And by the way, Kirby Joseph is second in the NFL in interceptions. That's their cornerback there. Big interception he made in that last game against Seattle. I really like Detroit, what they're doing. I think they're going to get better. One thing, they're going to get Sam Laporta back, and they're just going to have a lot of balance on both sides. Their only Achilles heel, if you want to say it, would be Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator. Other than that, like what Detroit's doing, maybe they'll get higher as the season goes along, okay? All right, so number 3. Who did I put here for number 3? I put some notes here. Number 3. Okay, Baltimore. Baltimore, best offense yardage-wise in the NFL, okay? This best rushing team in the NFL. Best total yards in offense, best rushing yards in the NFL. Number 1 at stopping the run. Now, they do give up a lot of points in the secondary. I'd have them higher. And they do got 2 losses. But, man, this Baltimore team is tough to watch. You know, I noticed that Lamar Jackson, every time I see this guy play, more and more over the past 2 years particularly, he's looking to throw off the run rather than be running to be running. I love that pass he threw. I want to say it was to Isaiah Likely, that touchdown where the guy's chasing him down to the 20-yard line. Good hit there. But he's looking to hit guys like Zay Flowers down the field. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a thinner Steve McNair when Steve McNair won his MVP in 2003. The Ravens are still playing really good football. They need to tighten that secondary up a little bit. They could use another pass rusher on that team. Be honest with you. Yes, the Ravens could use another pass rusher. So I've got them at 3. And of course, 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. They battled through injuries, and I got Jason Patterson back behind stage here. Just really impressed with their ability to adapt and overcome. With you know, I mentioned Andy Reid using 3 tight ends in one set, these awkward formations, and getting the ball to Travis Kelce there in the flat. Kareem Hunt looks like he did when they first drafted him a few years ago. They're 5-0. What can I say? You want to call they're lucky for they're catching a lot of teams that are banged up. But heck, they're banged up. They're swapping out offensive linemen and left tackle and whatnot. So I got them at 2. And of course, number 1, this is just a snapshot, folks. Minnesota, 2nd in the league against the run defense, 4th in turnover differential, 11 touchdowns, 4 picks for Sam Darnold, 6th highest quarterback rating, best 1-2 coach in tandem, probably in the NFC, maybe top 5 in the NFL between Aiden O'Connell and Brian Flores. I didn't say it in the NFL. I'll stop short of that because I forgot, Andy Reid. And I would have put the Chiefs above them, but the Chiefs do have some injuries, and I'm a little concerned about those injuries as the season gathers along. I'm not sure if they can keep this and maintain this, but backstage here from Big Trail Nation, who covers the Kansas City Chiefs and the Arkansas Razorbacks, and I want to thank him again for coming on. My man here, Jason Patterson. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great, Robert. How you doing today?
You sound great, brother. You sound great. Looking good, man.
Thank you.
Can the Chiefs, you heard me backstage, can they continue to win like this with no Rashid Rice, no Hollywood Brown? Seems like they're alternating tackles there. What's going on with this Chiefs team, man? Honestly, I think that they're just pieceworking it. I think they're workshopping it 1 week at a time right now. As you see, you saw Juju Smith-Schuster all of a sudden make a resurgence like whenever he played for Pittsburgh. I mean, he had 7 catches, 130 yards. You had Kareem Hunt that had 27 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. It looked like Kareem Hunt when he was drafted back in 2017. Okay. And that was one of the things that Kansas City really needed to have, was some guys that they had kind of sitting in the back
waiting for their turn to step up. They had that chance, and they were able to really make the most of it last night.
Yeah. What do you think about their left tackle situation? Do you think that they're going to stay with the current tackle? I forgot his name, Wanya or whatever.
Wanya
Or
Morris.
they're going to go back to the other guy?
So I don't know at this point. I mean, weekly, by week, it's either you've got Wanya, you've got Kingsley.
Wanya, thank you.
And so you're not sure exactly where, because I mean, at the end of the day, you want to see Kingsley in there because I mean, I really feel like he's one of the best 5, best 6 offensive linemen, period, that they have.
Wow.
And you want to get him in there somewhere. But at the same time, if he's having the struggles with holding, you've got to get him out of there because, don't get me wrong, Patrick Mahomes can overcome a lot.
Yes.
But you cannot have drive killers. That almost happened last night. Now, I know that folks talk about how Kansas City might be down this year, but this is a Saint defense that took Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys completely out of the picture a couple of weeks ago. I understand that I can see his face right here. The New Orleans quarterback, off the top of my head, I can't remember. He ended up getting hurt. Yeah, Derek Carr. He's out with an oblique injury for multiple weeks now. But whenever you have a team that can get the ball twice in under 2 minutes and put up 2 field goals, boom, boom. I really feel like that honestly was the difference in the game, just making it just far enough out so that Patrick, and I want to say that he's a game manager, but he's managing the clock to make sure that the defense is getting their blows, to get back on the game, get back on the field, and get those stops that they need. And let's face it, last year you didn't think Kansas City was going to win a world championship. You didn't think they were going to be on top of the mountain, but they did it. I don't know if this is going to happen again this year. I understand that they're undefeated.
Right.
We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. Now, as far as Rice being out, what's it, LCL? I didn't even know an LCL existed, Jason.
That's a lateral collateral ligament. Yeah, it really does help
word there, brother.
It helps with the stabilization in the knee, also with the MCL and the PCL too, as well.
Yes,
and the ACL. So there's 4 different ligaments in that knee to keep it, secured. And I mean, with this happening, I mean, you don't know. I personally, I would think that Rasheed and Hollywood probably going to be out for the rest of the year at this point.
Same here. Yeah.
And does Kansas City make that trade? Listen, Devontae Adams is out of the question.
Yeah, it's in division. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Mark is not going to trade Devontae to Kansas City,
right, after
they just won a world championship on their field. I mean,
that was in Vegas, wasn't it?
It was in Vegas, and whenever you have Mark Davis sitting there and seething still to this day, I mean, he'll give Devontae up to somebody else before he'll ever give him up to Kansas City. You just don't do that in division. There is some rumblings with DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if that is a get though, because you don't want to sell the farm.
That rumor.
You don't want to sell.
Can you talk to somebody? We just want that 3rd round pick we gave for L'Jarius Sneed. We'll call it even. We'll even eat some of the money. I'm speaking for Amy Adams Strunk. Eat $4 or $5 million. But that's just me thinking out loud, Jason.
Yeah, man. I don't know if that'll happen. I think that there's a couple of teams over the next couple of weeks that will start to separate themselves at the back of the pack.
Yeah.
And you'll start to see maybe some moves here and there. You saw the Jets today. Robert Saleh, he got the can. There's a couple of others that are going to be on the axe here. I wouldn't say in the next couple of weeks, but I think that you'll see an uptick in coaching moves at the end of the season. Okay. I think that really, I know that it's been put out there that, the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh, I mean, that was basically the organization saying that we're putting our money on Aaron Rodgers and not Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
So, and you see that also in Philadelphia too, because you start to see the schism there with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts is not the guy he was 2 years ago.
No. That just goes to show you. Look at the success that they're having with Andy Reid, and this everything is coach quarterback now. I mean, you've got to be, them two has got to be jointed at the hip, man. And I don't see a better relationship in the league than these two. I mean, I know that, I don't know. I want to say that Kyle Shanahan and, of course, Brock Purdy's got a good one there. And, of course, Belichick and Brady, frosty, but that was a good 1-2 there. You know, I don't know. I mean, what do you think about those 3 tight ends they were using? Do you think that's sustainable? And is there any other wide receiver that the ones you just, Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins, anybody else that's been floating around that maybe we're not talking about?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, there are some, don't get me wrong. You can go on all the Chiefs message boards. You can see everybody's pie in the sky.
Reddit guys, yeah.
You can see a lot of that. But at the end of the day, the thing that comes out from Brett Veach, that's the guy you need to listen to. He's the Chiefs general manager.
Yes.
If something comes from Brett Veach and says, hey, they're not going to float something out there. They're just going to pull the trigger and that's going to be it.
Yes.
So I don't know if listen, if they can save some money, because listen, they lost some guys after last year because of the salary cap issues.
Yes.
They've got a lot of money tied up over the next couple of years. And, with re-signing Chris Jones, re-signing Travis Kelce, restructuring Pat Mahomes' deal, those sorts of things, when it comes down to the end of the day, I mean, they had to let Willie Gay go. I mean, you have Karlaftis and Tranquil and Dano, and those guys coming and filling in those spots with Nick Bolton. But at the end of the day, if they're able to save some money and if they're also able to produce at a high level like they're doing right now, I mean, they're not going to make a move.
So it's 4 weeks to the day. You don't see them making a move in 4 weeks?
It depends on the next 3 weeks on how the production is at those spots.
If they keep winning, that could be a curse, though. You know, maybe they're playing, maybe they're just catching. You know, I picked the Saints to lose that game because their center was out. They had a guy, an offensive lineman. They had injuries on defense. They're an older team, too. We saw the car went down. Pickle says, like to see Waddle from Miami. Miami's going in the wrong direction. They got too much money. What about a Waddle or maybe even a Higgins from Cincinnati?
See, and that's another thing, too, is that, with T, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't T Higgins franchised?
Yeah.
So
they've got to pay him, and that I don't. It's hard to do it when you've got that kind of money already invested.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard move. Jalen Waddle's still on a rookie contract, so that might be something that's appealing. Yeah. If Kansas City was to give up a second or a third for a Jalen Waddle, but let's face it, you've got a straight line runner with Xavier Worthy. So do you want 2? Because you roll honestly, you need a guy that can work that 10 to 25 yard range to be able to open up Xavier whenever you want to blow the top off the defense. Because listen, you got Bell, you've got Kelce working that middle part, but you still need guys on the boundary working it too.
Yeah. Do you think this is Kelce's last year?
No, I think he's got one more in him.
Okay. Win or lose, if they win the three-peat?
Yeah, I think if they win the three-peat, I think he probably comes back. He's a competitive dude. He just saw his brother retire. His brother's, giving him advice. Hey, this is what it's looking like for me. Yeah. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to set yourself up with. I think that Travis plays this year, plays next year, and then probably goes out the door.
Okay. That's interesting, man. That's interesting. Switching to the college game, brother. Arkansas beat the Vols here. I've lived in Nashville, and there's a lot of Vol fans here. They were upset about that. It seems like, from the Tennessee's perspective, it seems like that Josh Heupel got a little conservative with Nico at the end, and they played not to lose, and they did lose.
Yeah,
in my opinion. That being said, this was a big win. Arkansas didn't blink. They were down 14-3 at one point.
Yep.
What happened, man? What adjustments did you see Arkansas make to pull that win off, man? It's a good big win there.
So one of the adjustments that I noticed was whenever Malachi first entered the fourth quarter, right after Taylor got hurt, which I do believe is a
Yes.
hyperextended knee.
Okay.
I'm not 100%
That's his
sure yet,
quarterback,
but
guys. Yeah.
Yep. I'm not sure exactly what the diagnosis was. It hasn't been released yet, but from what it looked like, from my perspective, it kind of looked like that. So if you look at the next series, this is what set up the following series because Bobby was really conservative. They gave the ball to Jaquindon Jackson 3 different times, trying to basically, I'm not saying it was a burn type of situation where they're saying, okay, we're going to give up a possession to set up the next one, but they kind of did. So Bobby went out and was working on what does Malachi Singleton do best, which by the way, he was offensive or I do believe was SEC freshman of the week.
Nice.
And they went out and they said, okay, this is what we're seeing from the defense. This is what Malachi does really well. The defense has been holding Nico in check for pretty much most of the night.
Yeah.
And whenever they got a couple of completions and Malachi was using his legs, which I thought that Tennessee would kind of treat the way that they had game plan for Taylor with Malachi, but they kind of tweaked it just a little bit, just enough where Malachi was able to be successful.
Yes.
And I was really surprised at the very towards the end of that fourth quarter where they just let him walk in. I mean, they put a lot of eggs in their basket to see Nico try to drive down the field because, I mean, he hadn't been very successful all night.
Yeah.
And that Tennessee defense that had been vaunted up to this point, really.
It was, man. Yeah.
Arkansas completed, it was a swing pass to the left side, went for, I do believe, 17 yards. That was the first time Tennessee had given up a 4th and long all season.
Wow.
That kind of was the calling card saying, okay, this team is good, but Arkansas is also able to stay with them. They just needed a chance in the fourth quarter, and they really made it. I really feel like that was a turning point, was them coming back from down 14-3 to take the lead with about 1 minute and 6 seconds left. That kind of was one of those aha moments. I think this is where everything has turned itself around for Arkansas.
Man, I was asking the other day about Sam Pittman. You said he's safe. Now he's looking great. Is this the biggest win of his tenure with Arkansas, or is there other wins?
This one ranks right up there with the 21 win against Texas whenever Texas come in and they beat them 44-20.
Didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the last time Arkansas also stormed the field too. And so I think that Texas and Oklahoma reluctantly came into the SEC knowing that the first year might be a little bit of a bump in the road because Texas is number 1 in the country again.
Yeah.
And this is the 3rd week out of 6 that they've been number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
They didn't want to take a chance of them being number 1 in the country first year in the SEC. And now you go down to Dallas for the
Red River rivalry coming up. Yeah.
And then guess who they play right after that?
Arkansas?
No.
Oh, no. Georgia.
Texas. They play Georgia.
Georgia, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, welcome to the SEC. There is no off week for you guys. And this is that 21 win. Sarkisian knew that Texas had to do something different in the recruiting if they were going to survive in the SEC week in and week out. Texas didn't, or Oklahoma didn't have that luxury. I know that they played Tennessee wasn't Tennessee. I think it was somebody else. A couple different times there were some SEC opponents that they had played to kind of get themselves a little bit ready.
Yeah.
But Texas didn't want to come in, have a great team, and then take 2 lumps and then get knocked out of the playoff. And there's a possibility that could happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And now they're number 1. And I think when I did my preseason picks there, breaking game by game down, I knew that Oklahoma had to play Texas, and that is a very intense rival game, that Red River rivalry. That's serious. Then they got to play Georgia. I just assumed Georgia would win that game because Texas is not going to have their A game, whether you got Arch Manning or Quinn Ewers playing Georgia. It's hard to get up 2 weeks in a row. Pickles thinks that Tennessee was looking ahead to Florida, even though Florida's way, way down this year.
Yeah.
They always seem to play Tennessee well. Tennessee, by the way, is 14.5-point favorites. And folks, I've already locked in Florida plus 14.5, even though
Every time,
Tennessee
every
may
week,
win, but you know what I'm saying?
yeah, and every week that we seem to bet against Billy Napier, for some reason, that locker room says, okay, well, we're going to take that as a middle finger to us, and we're going to show you exactly what we think of that. Honestly, it's what it feels like.
They still got that true freshman, their quarterback for Florida. Is he still playing for Florida? I can't remember.
DJ Lagway?
Yeah.
I do believe so. I mean, I wanted to say that Billy Napier is giving Graham Mertz the keys because he's the elder statesman in the locker room. I didn't know
if Mertz was still out or not. I've kind of lost track of Florida after they lost to Miami.
Yeah, they had a pretty big win. Yeah, they had a pretty big win against Mississippi State. They beat, and that I honestly thought that Billy Napier was going to get canned after that. They went down to Mississippi State and trounced Cowbell U. That's what I like to call them.
It was down in Mississippi. That's a hard win. That's a tough. That's a big win right there. Yeah,
anytime that you can win at Starkville, I mean that's tough. I mean, and don't get me wrong, Mississippi State's down, but I forgot the name of it. Wade Davis Stadium is always hard to play against. I mean, it's always is.
They got that's a heck of a home field advantage. I just think that I think that was a big wake up call for guys like Nico too. You have to this conference. You still have to bring it every week. What are your thoughts about Vanderbilt beating Alabama? I mean, that's the craziest upset I've seen in a long time.
It reminded me of Florida.
USC.
No, it reminded me of Kentucky, Florida, where Kentucky had lost to Florida for 28 straight years before they cracked through, and now Kentucky's owning Florida, and I kind of felt like that in a way. I mean, let's face it. Whenever James Franklin was at Vanderbilt, they were rolling. He had them going, and I wanted to say that Clark Lee really has marched to the own beat of his drum. He has not listened to any of the naysayers.
Yes,
and you just got to kind of root for the guy because, I mean, they go out there, they played solid football. They beat the crap out of Virginia Tech in the opening game of the season.
I can't believe they beat Virginia Tech. Yeah. But I think they lost to Georgia State too. So you could tell they don't have a lot of depth.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they went down to Georgia State. They lost to them, which, by the way, that's really an odd stadium anyway, because that used to be Old Turner Field that they converted into.
Oh, wow.
So that was always, that was a kind of a weird thing, but anyway, I want to go back to the schedule for Oklahoma for just a second. Man. The reason why these are the last 3 games that Oklahoma has to play: at Missouri, home against Alabama, and then at LSU.
Whew. I don't think Venables. I'm just not a big Venables guy. I think it's going to be tough for him, man.
Yep, and then SEC didn't do Texas any favors either because Texas has to come to Arkansas November 16th. Woo. Then they follow that up with Kentucky at Texas, and then Texas goes to at A&M to restore that nasty hated rivalry.
That's a hated rivalry too. And Arkansas, Texas, that's a rival, right? From way back.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that goes back way back into the 50s. Yeah.
The Southwest Conference.
Yeah, the Texas plus Arkansas.
Man, Jason Patterson, everybody. Anything else going on? Anything you need to plug here? When are your shows on, by the way?
So you can follow us on hogville.net. That's where you can see all of the shows that we do, also with Pig Trail Nation as well. You can see all of our written content on knwa.com, which is the NBC affiliate here in Fayetteville.
Okay.
And you can also follow our YouTube channel, which is hogville.net on YouTube as well. And we've got all sorts of shows. I mean, basketball's starting to fire up, and I mean, we got some folks in Kentucky that are still pissed off at Arkansas. With John Calipari. So
I may have to bring you back for some Calipari talk at some point. How do you see this team ranking this year? Are they going to make a run? Does he get enough transfers? Or is it just going to be a work in progress year one for Calipari?
No, I don't believe it's going to be a work in progress from year one for Cal. And the reason why is because if you look at the Kentucky teams from years past, he has had a couple of older guys that have sprinkled into the lineup that have been like 6 and 7, 8 guys coming off the
Okay.
bench. He's got guys that can start from the get go. You got Theodore Adu that's coming in. You've also got the Kentucky or the Tennessee transfer
Okay.
came in as well, and then you also have the host of Kentucky transfers, and then a couple of freshmen that are all world. So we'll have to see where that goes. But he has a really good mix of young and older guys.
Something
and
he lacked in Kentucky.
Yes, and he's got
many
a lot of
youngsters.
size in
Yeah.
here also with guys that are not string bean dudes that you come in and they're 7 foot, 198 pounds. He's
Yeah.
got some guys that have girth and length
Oh,
that
man.
can really box out. Kind of reminds me a little bit of what Bobby Hurley or Dan Hurley, or Bobby Hurley over. Dan's Dan Hurley.
Dan's the coach. Yeah. Bobby.
Over at
the Connecticut.
over at Connecticut. And that's what it kind of
Dan,
reminds me of a little bit with what he's trying to do here at Arkansas.
Man, that's pretty cool stuff right there. I do think changes was needed
Yes.
for him at Kentucky, and I know that the founder of was it Tyson Chicken? He was a big. What's the story behind that? Did you hear it? I know I didn't send you all this stuff, but I figured you know
that's
it
fine.
anyways. Yeah.
So, John Tyson, which was the founder of Tyson's Chicken, his son Johnny Tyson,
Okay.
and Cal have been friends for 10, 12 years.
Jeez.
And it was one of those. It wasn't one of those things where you just threw a lot of cash at Cal and he just ran here. It wasn't one of those situations. It was one of those. Does this fit for me? Because Cal almost came to Arkansas once,
Okay.
and it didn't happen. And it was a reason because of the transfer portal, which I want to bring that up here in just a second because I only have a couple more minutes. But there was a relationship behind that before this ever started to happen. So
Okay.
that whenever this did come about and Cal was able to bring some of his guys from Kentucky, it was more of it was a perfect match type situation. And at this point, it didn't hurt that, there were some rumblings that people were not wanting to see Cal back in Kentucky. I mean, there were some folks that were ready for some new blood.
Yes.
And it just kind of worked out.
Perfect. Now, why did he not go the first time? What year were you talking about here?
That was right before Eric Musselman was hired here at Arkansas. The reason why was because the transfer portal was not quite set up the way it is now.
So this is only 2 or 3 years ago?
Yes, there was a couple, and actually, no, it might have been a little further back than that.
Okay.
There was a couple years ago, but yeah, there was a point where the transfer portal was not set up quite the way it is now.
Okay.
And it was not going to allow Cal to bring some of his guys. Because, I mean, there are guys that are on that squad that have been there 2-3 years that he felt loyalty to. And that's the reason why he didn't go the first time. This time they can go at any time.
Interesting stuff there. I've read bits and pieces of that, and I couldn't put it all together, but you just did tonight, man. That's awesome. So, yeah, now, like you said, this is going to be a microwave situation. They're expected to get in the tournament this year, I would imagine, maybe win a few games.
Yeah, this team is set up to not go and do what the Kentucky teams have been, where they get a 3 or 4 or 5 seed, and then they exit first or second round.
Right.
This team is built for a Final Four run.
Man.
So we'll have to see what happens.
When does the season start?
We'll have to get that info up. I do believe it's the first or second week of November. Give me.
That's what I'm thinking. And it's usually some kind of tournament they do.
Yeah. So Arkansas is going to be in a couple tournaments this year. They're going to be in Kansas City. They're going to be at Madison Square Garden in New York City as well.
Fun.
And then they also have the Big 12 Challenge. I do believe that they're going to be playing. I think
those are usually pretty good, though.
Yes, those are
they
always
play out of division, out of conference teams and everything.
Yes, and so I think that there's a lot of people that are really looking forward to that. So, but I'm trying to bring up the basketball schedule here in just a second. But anyway,
I guess I bet you're right. Probably the first week of November.
So, with that being said, I also want to throw this out there. Okay, so there's a Kansas exhibition coming up on October 25th.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yes. And they haven't released the full schedule yet. They haven't released the dates yet.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah, dude.
With that being said, did you go over any of the information that was broken down today by the NCAA and Rules Committee with the transfer portal window? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically what it says is that as of Wednesday, whenever this meeting concludes in Indianapolis, they are going to make it official that there is going to be a 30-day window for men's basketball, women's basketball, and college football. That's going to range from, I do believe, December 9th to December 28th. That's going to be the first window. And then they're going to have a 1-week window in the spring for both.
And that's it.
And that's it.
That's good, man. Yeah.
I think it's going to work really well.
I caught up in NFL stories today. I didn't even catch that.
Yep. And so with that being said, I really think that that's going to start to kind of pull back some things as far as folks saying, hey, you know what? I need some more money because I want to play in this bowl game.
Like the UNLV situation. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think that's
sounds like some guardrails I've been preaching about.
There you go. There you go. And on top of that, there is a huge court decision that's going to be coming down, I do believe, in February, that if it is passed, that schools will be able to start to pay players directly starting on July 1st.
Man, that's good stuff. People don't, a lot of the old timers don't like that, but you kind of see where it's going. And it feels like it's kind of sleazy. This feels like you're kind of clearing out space where there's none of this shadow stuff going on. I do think there probably some truth to what that guy's father said from UNLV, that it was the offensive coordinator. Did you hear that? It was offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it was a guy that spoke out of turn that's on the coaching staff. And I really feel like that was something that did happen. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's Barry Odom's call. And if there's a GM that works for UNLV, which that's what schools are going to go to anyway. So I don't know, that's something that's on the horizon. It's a little ways down the road. So
yeah, appreciate you, man. You delivered more than I asked, brother.
Anytime, Robert. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course, with the way the Chiefs are playing and something big happens in Arkansas, definitely. And plus, you know the college game really well, I can tell.
Yep.
Yeah, I could span you beyond that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I write a weekly column for Pig Trail Nation that covers all of the games throughout the SEC each week.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Which way are you leaning for Oregon, Ohio State this weekend?
It's going to be Ohio State. I don't think that Dillon Gabriel is going to have the weapon, or he's going to be able to utilize the weapons that he has been able to recently. Wow. Ohio State's defense is just too damn good.
Wow. Up in Eugene.
Yeah.
I'm undecided on that, man.
Defense
but I know
travels.
they're early favorites for that game on the road. That's huge for Ohio State.
Yeah. Defense travels. I always believe in defense traveling. I think that that's the same case. Dillon Gabriel had some problems at the first of the season. He started to correct those a little bit, but still at the same time, he hasn't faced a defense like Ohio State. And I think that's going to be the difference.
Wow. Okay, that's food for thought, man. I'll definitely give him my prediction on Friday with the Mad New Yorker. Hey, brother, appreciate it, man. I'm running out of time.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Hey, all right, buddy. Hey, everybody, make sure and tune in tomorrow. I'll have Andre Gibson. He is a riot. Andre's going to be back. Thank you, Pickles. Andre's going to be back. Wow, Jason Pattis. Was he awesome? Man, that guy's got all kinds of information there. Definitely use that for clips for the show. I was leaning to Oregon, but, he's right. That defense for Ohio State's really good. I got to study that a little bit more here and get some input there. But Andre, going to ask him about this Vanderbilt win. Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about the Titans. And, of course, he's a big Boston Celtics fan. Get his take on the Celtics this year and see if they can repeat or not. He's always a really, really good guest as well. Hope to have him on, and everything's going to be straight with him because he said he was having some problems with his computer, but he thinks he's going to be fine. But he's been here before. We definitely got the sound situated here. So if you like the show, folks, please share the show. I'll be back tomorrow. Otherwise, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, here on the Real Sports Scope.